So we're going to talk about making the RTS FPS game. Actually, I wanted to say FPS RTS because you could technically make out of the FPS small engine, like the base engine, a RTS. All you do is you make a player that flies. You don't make a player that flies, you just make a capsule, which is the player body, and that serves as the camera system. That camera system aims like 70 degrees down. Wow, there's like two exact same like Teslas that just drove by. That's funny. And the capsule is a camera vehicle, and it's just basically the arrows move it back and forth, and so the mouse at the boundaries of the screen moves it, and that creates the illusion of being an RTS game. And basically the model mesh systems can be the same. Now the Red Alert 3 W3X modeling system has no bones. The bones are the model, which is kind of cool because you get the transformation of the units. I'm still like confused about that a little bit. My head just itches inside about how to make units that transform, like how to like get started. Like they had some sort of idea of how to do that already. I mean, like you could just be really into Transformers. That's one way. But it's one of the things that I want my RTS to have. This is one of the things that Red Alert kicked StarCraft 2's, Red Alert 3 kicked StarCraft 2's ass with in the very beginning. Now, who's like the third player of RTS? We got like Age of Empires. I would believe they're like the closest thing versus Command and Conquer versus the Warcraft / StarCraft engine. So the Sage, which is the Command and Conquer engine, the Red Alert 3 engine, versus, it's also Emperor Battle for Dune engine and Tiberium Wars, 0 Hour, Generals, and their derivative like add-on campaign games and secondary games. And the StarCraft is similar-ish to like World of Warcraft in a way, but it's not really the same. World of Warcraft's a little different on the netcode side. And so the engine, if it's going to be like multiple Earths purpose, or like multiple longitude, latitude, linear, spherical coordinates, and have multiple maps and have that all synchronized, it would be like a different netcode add-on, but I was talking about unit transformation. And StarCraft 2 does have unit transformations. So the Viking is a good example of this. Or the which one else? There's a few other ones that do transformations. Zerg can morph. So this is like one of those things that Red Alert kind of doesn't really have. But it does really have it because the hammer tank morphs into all these other units. It's one of those other cool features that like Red Alert 3 still has and that StarCraft never picked up. But it's like one of those really unique features where like one unit can take like 10 different forms, which is really cool. Because the one of the mods for the hammer tank is drone. So you like kill a ship destroyer. No, not a ship destroyer. A carrier. What's the name of it though? Carrier's name in Red Alert 3. It's kind of like the same thing as a carrier in StarCraft 2 because it has a bunch of just little drones that like fly around, and it has massive range, especially in Red Alert 3. And the Red Alert 3 carriers special ability is an EMP missile, so that thing's like a mini nuke, but it doesn't do any like damage, but it like just disables everything. In a EMP radius, I mean AOE radius EMP, yeah. EMP AoE attack, and it reloads like a minute. I don't know, the cooldown's like a minute or 2 minutes, but massive amounts of damage can be done this way. Very annoying. It can really destroy a lot of heavy Soviet Union units and stuff. And so when the hammer tank manages to leash cannon kill that big carrier somehow, which is kind of rare, it gets like a little drone too, so it's like a really unique little like itch of the hand to do that. You have to be particularly like, all right, I'm just gonna like, you have to know that can happen first, a unique feature, and you have to like, just at the moment that it happens that that carrier is like low health, you send a hammer tank into leech beam it, and then send like the apocalypse tank to just smash it into the cliff, like the usual way you kill those big carriers. You just like carry over the twin blade apocalypse tank, put it next to it real quick, and like do it twice, just so like the first apocalypse tank gets EMP'd, the next apocalypse tank doesn't get EMP'd, it smashes into the cliff, even if it's going to take it a little while, because apocalypse tank takes so much damage, it's like an MCV almost. And yeah, these kind of little things matter, and like your engine has to withstand these type of tests. Where like in StarCraft, we have the dropship system. Red Alert 3, we also have a dropping parachute system. But they're both basically both the same, with the passengers being inside vehicles and like being able to exit them. It's a little bit different, but it's always nice to have transportation built into the game. Alright, so now we move on to pathfinding real quick, and we just have to like talk about it for 1 minute. The Red Alert 3 pathfinding isn't perfect. There's sort of like these insecure bugs, to where like stuff will sometimes just drive through walls. It's a little bit more tight in StarCraft 2, and it does kind of recheck every frame. But the terrain, the way the terrain works, is more advanced in Red Alert 3. And in StarCraft, like, it's immediately in line tower wars, when you make a line tower that blocks, it kills your whole line towers because you cheated. So every synchronous frame that the map editor can allow you to do that, it'll just double check, make sure you're not doing that. So we know the pathfinding in StarCraft 2 is really crisp. No, not crisp, but it's very like algorithmically correct, but it's still not great. Like, the unit won't go in like along the cliff. It only has one pattern, which means like you still have to do waypoints in order to make it move in advanced ways to avoid obstacles and like being seen by enemies and some other things like this. I forget what the other case scenarios are, but it's just basically really dumb. And the push away unit system, and how the mass amount of units, because this is where the pathfinding gets interesting, is when it gets to command the units and tell them where to go. So let's say you selected a pack of units, like 60 of them. And these units got to walk all together like in a big mush, and they got to be really efficient on so they don't like slow each other down. Like, this happens a lot in Red Alert 3. Units will slow each other down and follow the pace of the slowest unit, which is bad. But there's like good things about it. It's more optimized, and it's like it always works, or something like that. Like, they're really interesting two games to compare when it comes to pathfinding, because Red Alert 3 just did some sort of stupid hack, and it works. Sometimes it works better than StarCraft 2, sometimes StarCraft 2 works better than the other one. The pathfinding is more correct in StarCraft 2, but the one in Red Alert 3 is a lot more comfortable sometimes to use, which is funny. Because sometimes you want the units to kind of stay in a pact, because they will fight, like, better. Because if they stay closer together with, like, Apocalypse tanks, the Tesla Troopers, the Apocalypse tanks are going to kind of protect the Tesla Troopers. If the Tesla Troopers are alone, they kind of get killed. Or, like, conscripts. It's, like, always nice to have a bunch of conscripts around the Apocalypse tank, because they're just, like, a nuisance. Like, they'll just get shot first. The Apocalypse tank won't take damage. They could, like, target a spy or something stupid, other infantry, and kill them. Well, the Apocalypse tank isn't very good at infantry. So, there's advantages to both algorithms. I forget what the other part of it is. There's another part of it. I think it's like air or something. So basically, we have different types of units: air, sea, and ground. In StarCraft 2, we only have air and ground, and maybe underground. A few things that can go underground and kind of crawl. Most underground things in StarCraft 2 don't crawl, but nothing ever uses sea. It'd be nice to have stuff out of space too, but yeah, it's like a different game there. So the rendering engine will just have your base shader. I don't like saying it like that. It's like you'll have your shader that can handle models, and compile a shader and like get that out of the way. So that's like one side of the program. The other side of the program is building up the file system, which is like some compressed file that holds a bunch of files. Then there's a mapping, which is basically like a sort of advanced mesh or terrain. Most games like to use the terrain, which is basically like this plane of triangles, I call it, because like it's just a bunch of triangles at a certain height, because there's like a height map, and the height map gets transferred over. And then they like to use this other thing called the collision board. There's different names for it. And then the collision board generates a nav mesh, and the nav mesh works with the pathfinding system. And that's the other part of it. It's like the maps in these games never really get modified. Like in StarCraft 2, they started doing that. They started putting like these like high health barriers in a way where you kill the barrier and all of a sudden you could like go through a different path. And this is like their way of simulating changing the terrain, which is really stupid. Like in real life, you could like destroy a cliff. You could use some sort of tractor, let's say, just to get rid of it and make a road, and the tanks can just drive there. On Red Alert 3, on the mapping side, you can do it. You can't do it in game. It's kind of sad. But on the mapping side in Red Alert 3, you have to like predefine where the walls are, or the collidables. It's like you just make red spots and like green spots, and that's basically the only thing you have. So like units don't just like drive off cliffs, which happens sometimes in Red Alert 3 when they forgot to do that. Which is funny. It looks like Apocalypse tank just kind of rolls down a cliff and goes sideways. But it has the animation, which is good. But it's unrealistic for what it's doing. But it's kind of cool knowing that it can be done. Where like units can have the ability to drive off these cliffs, but they just don't implement it because they're always using this same nav collision mesh for everything in the game. Every RTS does this. Why, we don't know. And just a bunch of crap. So yes, those are some of the features I'd like to change. For the netcode side of things, I actually have like kind of no clue what to do. I'm just gonna use the 3 methods I wanted to mention a lot earlier in this video, which was Bard AI or Gemini from Google, Meta AI because it just came out, and ChatGPT, the paid version on the PC. The one on the phone I kind of don't want to use because I can't be somewhere, but then I found out I can buy a twin screen and a one of these fold-up keyboards. Now I want to get like maybe a fold-up keyboard and that one wireless keyboard that's like for $10 on Newegg. That thing is cool because like you can just have a little touchpad and keyboard and one of these old batteries in it from like a Nokia 3100, and it's just like really good. And I've seen that modified to where, or not maybe not modified, but different versions of it where it'll take AA batteries or it'll take the lithium polymer and be a rechargeable. So it's got different versions. I have to go look it up on Chinese websites and see what Banggood has compared to Newegg and eBay and Amazon, and just see if there's schematics of this thing. But like, it's like too much work, but it's not. It's actually a really good like $10 thing that like I can just buy. It's possible to just start developing on your phone, remote desktop, using Rust Disk or something, or Google Remote, or just regular old RDP with whatchamacallit, NG-Rook, reverse terminal, reverse SSH terminal, and or just do all 3. One goes down and just use the other one. Or maybe even establish a KVM with a Raspberry Pi so you can just like back hack into the machine anyway, in case the machine needs to be rebooted. So yeah, that's kind of the RTS development phase. Oh yeah, mouse clicks. You have to convert mouse coordinates to screen coordinates, draw a rectangle, then do an AABB calculation of what that rectangle selected, which is basically a 3D box, 3D rectangle box. Always nice. Which units are inside this camera box that got casted at 70 degrees. It's kind of hard to tell, unless what you do is you draw that box and you look at it from a different angle. But then how do you do that? Oh no, you need more screens. Oh yeah, so the other device for the phone was additional screen. There's, I guess, Bluetooth screens now, and for $60 or $70 you can buy them. There's always like little high-tech gadgets, like all these 3D glasses out now. It's like even hard to keep up to all the things because like some of them are really expensive and it's just like stupid. Why would you buy this? You just wait another year. It would be $60 like the stupid ass VR, and then like I don't really want to get it. Why would I use that? When I can talk to the AI and be like, "Why are you stupid, AI? I can't answer that question. I'm not allowed to. Everything I answer now, I'm not allowed to. That's cool." It's like, that's so stupid. And we will have to open C++. know that if we create the game in DirectX on PC, it's a good choice. OpenGL ES for Android and Raspberry Pi and Linux maybe, and for Windows, DirectX, and for iPhone Metal, so it would have to be the new one. It could be done in the old way for the older iPhones, I guess. It'd be nice, but then there's also hacked version of Xbox, hacked version of PS3, hacked version of PS4, and some other ones. And yeah. The better thing to do also is to take a look at Frost Engine and just be like, oh, my game is going to be horrible like this if I just copy somebody else's engine. My game is going to be stupid if I just use Unity or the Go, because I will know nothing on how to code. Because the first time you have to make your own engine, you will just not want to do it again, because you'll just get lost. And that's the problem with like making a good game. It's like the first thing you have to do is the most difficult thing. It's like you just have to jump over this border, and in this border is a model loader, input, sound. So like you have to get these things kind of working like part by part. Don't try to do everything all at once, which you will try to do. And it's like, oh, okay, because obviously sound and even animation. If you could just get a plain model loader, no animation, and maybe terrain, and then like everybody goes for the same terrain idea. What was the other thing I said? Then there's music also. Oh yeah, input. Sorry. So you got keyboard input, and then you got rebinding. Rebinding is very interesting. So what if you bind two keys to the same thing? And then you press those two keys and released one, but didn't release the other. What would happen? Oh, sorry. Got like, it's just like these things like that will just bother you right away when you attempt to do something like this. You're actually creating a world, which is not that simple if you think about it. Very, very precise things you have to do. You have to control everything. It's just like, wow. But then you can just let it run and let it make mistakes and just debug it later. It's better to just create it and then just figure it out later. Like, oh no, the unit like is still in walking mode and blah blah. There's like attack stance, there's guard stance, there's defense stance, and then there's like don't do anything stance or something. Neutral or something stupid. Red Alert 3 has that pretty good. StarCraft, it's more like stop and something else. There's like 3 in StarCraft and maybe 4 in Red Alert, and maybe 3 in Red Alert and 2 in Star. I don't remember. Maybe it's 3 and 3. Something stupid like that. But the units have a little bit different aggression types. Well, I'll have to continue this video in a little bit. I'll get some more thoughts in. What I need people to do is comment on this and be like, okay, I've made a RTS game. I'm professional, but I like the things you're talking about. That's what I want to hear. And what I don't want to hear is, can you please help me? My computer can't run this. I don't know how the driver works, and OpenGL won't link. Visual Studio hates me. It does not want to compile anything. Why am I using Java when I should be using C++? Why does it always tell me to use stupid languages like Lua, and I can't code my game in HTML, JavaScript? I mean, like, you can, but I prefer C++, but I wanted to make one that would be both. And that'd be pretty cool with WebGL.